Hello and welcome to the Mouthy Matters podcast. I'm your host, Tosha Kozlowski. I am a dental hygienist turned coach, and I train dental teams across the United States and internationally to spot key signs in the mouth that impact overall health. I'm here today with Dr. Kami Haas. He's an orthodontist, best-selling author, and co-founder of one of California's largest dental group practices. After seeing how confusing the oral care market had become with conflicting claims and one-size-fits-all solutions, he created Supermouth. It is a complete system of age-specific oral care products designed to take the guesswork out of what is safe and effective for your family. In his book, If Your Mouth Could Talk, he has helped thousands of families rethink what they thought they knew about oral health. Dr. Haas, it is so awesome to have you here.
Well, thank you very much. That was a wonderful introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I can't wait to get into the nitty-gritty details of oral health and why you created Supermouth. I am a big fan. I was sharing with you before we started recording that I bought my daughter a toothbrush from you all, and she just said, she's like, this is so great. It's not so clunky in my mouth.
No, I love it. Thank you very much for that kind remark. So I have a 13-year-old too. Mine is a little bit older. I don't know. How many kids do you have?
Just the one.
Just the one. Me too. And so I'll tell you a quick story about maybe some of your listeners may think, what is an orthodontist doing about oral care products? How did that happen? So what happened was, I'm an orthodontist. My wife is a pediatric dentist, actually. And we have a fairly large group practice with multiple doctors, like maybe 2,000 pediatric dentists, orthodontists, general dentists, hygienists in our group practice. And so for the first 10, 15 years of my practice, I thought I knew everything about dentistry. And I was like really one of those guys that studied every book and looked at every article and every research. And then when my son was born, before he was born, when patients would say, Dr. Haas, what toothpaste do you recommend? I would say, anything with fluoride, whatever the brand is, doesn't matter. Because I don't know if I know you know, but I don't know if your listeners know. People get shocked when I tell them in dental school and in hygiene school, we get no classes on oral care products. It's absolutely madness. But it's already crazy that dental schools are separate than medical schools. That to begin with, it's a terrible model. And then on top of it, we get no education about oral care products other than make sure everybody has fluoride. I mean, and if, by the way, I'm not pro-fluoride and I'm not anti-fluoride. I'm pro-patient. But if the model that we've been telling people over the last 40 years, which is, brush twice a day with fluoride or non-fluoride, whatever non-fluoride even means, we can discuss that. Plus once a day, see your dentist and avoid sugar. You know what the number one disease on the planet is? It's not cancer or heart disease. It's actually dental disease, cavities and gum disease. So whatever we're doing is not working. Anyway, so when my son was born, I went to my wife and I said, when his first tooth started coming in, because before that I was answering as a dentist. Now I'm answering as a father, and good enough is not good enough when it's your kid. So I went to my wife and like, what toothpaste should we use for our son? And she said, I don't know. Remember this, I'm an orthodontist. She's a pediatric dentist of 20 years, one of the largest group practices in the United States. And we still have no idea what toothpaste to give to our own kid. So I thought this was ridiculous and crazy, and I was embarrassed that I really didn't know what to do with my own family. So I started reading every book I could and every research article. I ended up reading 600 books and articles on various things about oral systemic health, how the mouth works, the saliva, the oral care products, not just fluoride, but everything beyond fluoride and hydroxyapatite and prebiotics and acidity and pH and saliva and the oral microbiome and all that stuff. And so I ended up writing a book, as you mentioned, If Your Mouth Could Talk, became a #1 national bestseller. So I ended up doing a lot of interviews across the country with the media, with professionals. And of course, the #1 question once they would read the book, it was like, what toothpaste do you recommend? Because obviously I didn't get into brands, because that's what everybody wants to know. There are 1,500 brands of oral care products now on the market, 1,500. And yet the #1 disease on the planet is cavities and gum disease, and they're all fighting over fluoride. And maybe now recently hydroxyapatite, these two ingredients, single ingredient mentality versus the mouth's complex biology.
Love all of that. So with thousands and thousands of products on the market, from floss to toothpaste to mouthwash to this and that gadget, there's clearly not a lack of products out there. So what do you think the disconnect is between the #1, issue that people are having is this untreated dental decay across the world and in permanent teeth? And as a segue to that, when should we be worried about our kids getting cavities? Because as a hygienist, I would hear from so many parents that would say, well, they're just baby teeth. And I was like, oh gosh, they're not just baby teeth.
We don't want to ever hear that. So by the way, these are excellent questions, really amazing questions. I hope everybody listens to these questions and to the responses, because if we can fix the #1 disease on the planet, we can have a generation that can prevent disease, that can protect their future health, that can build a foundation for success and longevity and health. So let me kind of go back to tell you why we're failing with over 1,500 choices of toothpaste and mouthwash and floss. And there are many reasons, but I'll give you three of them, three main ones, three assumptions that we've never questioned, basically. So one is the mouth is separate than the body. Just like the dental schools and medical schools have been separated, which is already terrible and bad enough, because your mouth is not only connected to your body, it's literally the gateway and the opening to it. Whatever happens in your mouth impacts the body. Your mouth has billions of microbes, billions. And so there's always inflammatory cells just lurking around. And so when your gums bleed, these cells, their toxins, the bacteria, their toxins, the inflammatory signals, they get into the bloodstream and they travel everywhere in the body, right? Because that's where the blood goes. It goes to your heart, it can travel to your brain, any organ. And of course, then it's always amazing. If you had chronic bleeding anywhere else in the body or inflammation in your knees or your joints, you wouldn't ignore it. You wouldn't call it routine. But in the mouth, we've normalized this, which is absolutely terrible. So that's the first reason. We need to understand the mouth. It's much, much more complex and it's part of the body. It's not a separate entity. We just zap it with something. Second problem is our obsession with killing all the microbes. If you go to a grocery store, the joke is the longest aisle in a grocery store is the toothpaste and the mouthwash aisle. Just to make this point that it's not the fact that we don't have enough oral care products. We have the wrong types. If they were working, if these either conventional brands on the one side and so-called natural brands on the other side, they were working, the number one disease on the planet wouldn't be dental disease. So basically wiping out the microbes. Let me kind of tell you something. 20 years ago, we used to think all gut microbes were bad. Now we know better, right? Now we take probiotics, which are actually live microbes because we've been decimating our microbes with antimicrobial agents, from our food to everything else that we consume, to our oral care products and self-care products. And so now we literally have to take back microbes because it's a disaster we created as a society. Think of your mouth. We wouldn't sterilize your gut microbes, right? We wouldn't drink antiseptic alcoholic mouthwashes to resolve gut issues. We do the exact opposite. We used to take probiotics and prebiotics to keep a gut healthy. Why are we not connecting the same philosophy and strategy and science to the mouth? Your mouth, it just has its own microbial ecosystem. The gut has its own. We need to promote healthy microbes in your mouth so they outnumber the harmful ones. This is the only way we can save our oral health and systemic health. We can't wipe out the 99% of germs indiscriminately without asking which 99% we're killing, because there are some harmful microbes, but mostly are protected. So that's the second problem. Our obsession with wiping out, killing all the microbes and treating the mouth as a dirty surface that needs to be disinfected versus treating it like an ecosystem that needs to be nurtured. The third problem is our obsession with single ingredients. When I was in dental school, I'm not going to age myself, I'll age myself, over 30 years ago, actually, this year, I graduated from my orthodontic residency. 30 years ago, the only debate I ever heard was fluoride versus non-fluoride, or natural versus conventional. And guess what? We're only hearing 30 years later, still the same argument. And the number one disease on the planet hasn't budged. Your mouth is not just enamel that can be zapped with fluoride or something non-fluoride. And by the way, what is even non-fluoride? If you go to a restaurant and order non-chicken with a side of non-broccoli and a glass of non-water, of course, the server thinks you've gone mad. We use this term non-fluoride with a straight face for 30 years and we don't even question it. I've had dental professionals come to my booth at, Supermat booth when we're at dental conferences or when I speak. Almost majority of them, when they tell me, when I ask them, what do you give to your kid? They say, let's just say non-fluoride. I'm like, well, what's in it? They're like, it's non-fluoride. I'm like, well, you're not telling me what's, it's literally everything other than fluoride is non-fluoride. Like ice cream is non-fluoride. My dog is non-fluoride. My shirt is non-fluoride. That's not something you give to your kid or your own mouth. We need to define what we're doing it instead of it. And this whole crazy thing with natural, and I always joke around, cocaine is natural. That doesn't mean everything natural is safe, or poison ivy and arsenic and tobacco and even sugar that we want to avoid for cavities is natural. Natural, yes, we want to avoid unnecessary artificial ingredients, but not every. This whole market has become marketing gimmicks. And by the way, now more recently, this fluoride has a new obsession replacement. It's called hydroxyapatite. So I don't know if those of you who literally a few days ago, CNN named our toothpaste, their favorite product, toothpaste. But and we have nanohydroxyapatite. I'm not against nanohydroxyapatite, and I'm not against fluoride. I'm just saying these are just one or two ingredients. the mouth's biology. Just like we can't be only worried about broccoli in medicine, or broccoli or asparagus to cure and prevent cancer and heart disease and diabetes and Alzheimer's. There's a whole very complex biology in our mouths and in our bodies that we need to learn, and we need to expand our reach of just single ingredient obsession. So these are the three reasons why I think everything we're doing is failing. And this is why we launched Supermouth, to fix this once and for all, because nobody else did it. So I thought, one day I sat down with my wife. I'm like, hey, honey, this is going to take us years to do, because we're going against billions of dollars of marketing and tens of years of marketing. It's going to require a lot of our money, almost everything, but it's my legacy that I can live with for our own son and for the society, to fix the number one disease on the planet. And that's what Supermouth is. And that's what we're trying to do.
I love that so much. I mean, we're definitely not focused on all the different ingredients on the back of those labels. We're just going, okay, do they have these two? Do they have this one? Yeah. Nor looking at, well, where was that source from? What else might be mixed in there? Maybe we want to veer away from some of these things.
Exactly.
So when we're thinking about our children, like you had mentioned, it's one thing when it's our own child, what do we want to put in their mouth? I remember when my daughter was an infant, I was all about, disrupting any bugs that might be in her mouth or all that kind of stuff. And so I started, I'd put her on my lap and lay her down and then brush her little teeth and, massage her gums and little things.
I remember those days.
And, for a while, she didn't like it very much. So I started to sing the ABCs to her. And when she was really, really little, I would sing them real fast. And then when she got older, she knew that we had to get through the ABCs. And so she just kind of tolerated it until I was done. And now she's a little bit crazy like I am about oral health, because she knows I've taken microscope slides on her, and she's always like, oh my gosh, are there healthy bacteria on there, or what's going on?
Good habits for life.
And so, like, good. I didn't scar her by, forcing the toothbrush in there. But thinking about products for our children, and when we have these infants, when we have these babies, and when we're thinking about our kids as they grow through the years, when should mom and dad start brushing their kids' teeth? And what do we want to be looking at? I mean, so during pregnancy, this baby's forming in utero. And if mom has an unhealthy oral microbiome, what are some of the things we want to be thinking about from pregnancy to birth when it comes to overall health and trying to nurture the garden?
Tosha, I really mean it. You ask such great questions. And so let me kind of explain to you. And I mean it. I don't tell all my interviewers that do great questions. Seriously, great job, because these are questions that needs to be asked and answered. So let me just quickly tell you where my experience comes from. So remember, going back to my son, because this is kind of addressing your question. I'll be honest and tell you about my own mouth. So I grew up with cavities, lots of them. I've had braces several times. I've had permanent teeth pulled in my mouth, several of them, to make room for my small mouth. I followed everything I was told by my dentist, and I still ended up with a mouthful of problems. My son, on the other hand, who's now 13, he's never had a single cavity. His teeth are perfectly straight. His bite, his profile, his airway, his teeth, lips, chin, cheekbones, they're perfect. And I'm not just saying that because I'm his dad. I'm saying it as his dentist and orthodontist. So they're like truly perfect. And because everything I was learning from that research that I told you, the 600 books and articles that I was reading, we implemented from day one. But all of that starts not with the first toothbrush, like you just mentioned. Everything starts with pregnancy. So that's why in our company, we divide our products into 6 categories, because they're very unique needs. And I'll explain to you quickly. Like we do it from pregnancy. We have a whole line of pregnancy products. Teething, babies and toddlers. Then what we call primary dentition, but as a professional, but because you know what that means, but for the listeners, means little kids, basically. Then we have 6 to 12-year-olds. The professionals call that mixed dentition, the mixture of baby teeth and permanent teeth. To the regular audience, big kids. And then we have teens and adults, and then orthodontics. So pregnancy, babies and toddlers, little kids, big kids, teens and adults, and orthodontics. These are very unique needs. I'll give you 2 examples. You can see, according to CDC, 3/4 of them get gingivitis, which is gum inflammation, bleeding, and that can have significant impact on their own pregnancy's health. Then on the baby's health, it can impact timing of birth. It can lead to preterm birth or low birth weight. And then as we were discussing, as you know, and then maybe the audience will be shocked to learn, oral disease is contagious. You not only can, but you do pass on your oral microbes to your baby. In fact, I believe I just saw a study that they examined within the first 8 months or 6 months, the 85% of the oral microbes in the baby is from the mom. I mean, obviously it's from the dad and for the other caregivers and the environment, but 85% from mom. So this is why you can't just have healthy mouth in silo. You can't just have one child perfect and then you have all these terrible oral health habits and oral diseases. So it starts from the beginnings. Before you get pregnant or by the way, this is true for men too. It's not just for women because it can affect poor oral health in men can affect their sperm quality, motility, count. On women, it can actually cause infertility, which is not a wonder because it probably wants to prevent pregnancy because during pregnancy, gum disease is actually very dangerous for the mom and the baby. During pregnancy, as I said, it can cause all sorts of things like preeclampsia and, gestational diabetes, timing of birth, all of these potential very dangerous things for the mother if you have poor oral health, and it's very common. But gingivitis which is gum disease, by the way, just like a simple way of saying it, gum disease, bleeding, let's just say bad breath, especially when the mouth is also acidic during the, when you have morning sickness and nausea and all of that. So that's a different need because there's a gum inflammation versus people who are in braces, they get these white spots. 2/3 of people in braces, they get permanent white or yellow spots on their teeth. 1/3 of people in aligners, like Invisalign, they still get the same things. So they're very different needs. So we can't use the same toothpaste or mouthwash or floss for someone who's pregnant and someone who has braces. And the same thing continues with babies. And so that's why at our company, Supermouth, we personalize oral care products based on age and stages, but also risk factors, because you probably know, you're a dental professional. I've seen hundreds of thousands of patients. And I know that even two kids, the same age, in the same family, they can have completely different oral care needs, right? One has tons of cavities, the other one doesn't. And sometimes it's the opposite of who actually brushes their teeth and who doesn't, right? The one who brushes their teeth.
Yes, it's absolutely crazy like that. And it feels
crazy.
So unfair.
Exactly. So unfair.
Speaking of this conversation, I wish so badly that I knew this when I was practicing. And what I find though now is dental hygienists that come out of school, yesterday, last year, 10 years ago, we don't get any of this foundation. I used to tell my patients, I don't know, sometimes people just get a lot of cavities. I literally said that. And now I think, oh gosh, those poor people.
You're not taught. It's not your fault or my fault. It's really our education system's fault that they're not teaching even the dental professionals anything about prevention. We learn how to do filling and cleaning and braces, but no one ever sat us down and say, this is how you prevent disease. I have no idea. It's really shame on our profession. Really, I take the responsibility as part of the profession that we own the number one disease on the planet when it's almost everything's preventable. 95% of dental diseases, cavities, gum disease are preventable. It's only 5% that's genetic, by the way. And my son is an example, right? The same household, the same genetics. I'm an example of the old model, right? My son is an example of the good model. By the way, going back to your question on what do we do with the kids, right? Because so now pregnancy is important. In the kids, the oral microbes that people love to hate and to kill them, wipe them out, we couldn't live without them. We're a super organism of human cells and microbial cells. We have it depends on the studies that you look at, but either equal number of microbes than human cells or sometimes up to 5 times more. I've seen different, well, let's just say we have just as many microbes in our bodies than we have human cells. There's a reason behind this. We could not live without it. And so we need to promote them by using prebiotics. Let me kind of explain to you what probiotics and prebiotics are. Not antibiotics that wipes out our oral microbes. By the way, just something natural that like essential oils are also just as terrible because essential oils are also herbal antimicrobial. Again, we discussed that not just something because it's in nature doesn't change its behavior. And so if you use peppermint oil or in your toothpaste or mouthwash or eucalyptus oil or, whatever, stop using it. These are hurting you a lot more than just,
If you don't need it, don't use it.
Exactly.
Less is more.
Less is more. And so we want to promote different parts of the body. Prebiotics is food for good microbes. Prebiotics like inulin, xylitol, erythritol in oral care, toothpaste, mouthwash, and floss. What they do, they feed you good microbes and they remove the harmful ones or starve them. It's like if you had a garden, you wouldn't bleach the whole garden, right? That wouldn't be gardening. That would be destruction. You would promote the flowers to keep the weeds out of the way. The same thing in your mouth. You want to promote the healthy microbes to keep the bad ones out of the way. And by the way, I can't take credit for this information. Who should get credit? Evolution or God, however you want to name it. I'll take the evolution side as an example. Basically, breast milk arguably is the most perfect food ever created, right? I don't think any can argue with that. Yes, I can understand there's situations that a mom cannot breastfeed. This is not a breastfeeding argument. I'm just saying as a whole, breast milk itself that the baby survives on and thrives on the first 6 to 12 months it's arguably the most perfect food for that baby. I don't think any scientist argues with that. And why don't we learn from milk? The third most abundant ingredient in breast milk, other than fats and lactose, is prebiotics. It's a group of molecules called HMOs. Has nothing to do with the insurance companies, by the way, that we knew for years. When I first graduated, we didn't know what they were because we knew breast milk is abundant with it, but it wasn't for the baby. We knew that the baby cannot digest it. So we're like, we don't understand millions of years of evolution, and we have this ingredient in abundance in breast milk, but it's not for the baby. Then we learn it's not for the baby. It's for the microbes that are developing in the baby's mouth and the gut. So our goal should be, as parents, is first of all, make sure our own oral health is perfect, excellent, right? And we can. It's never too late. Yes, it's better to prevent it, but hey, today's what we got. We can't go back in time, at least not yet. So let's get our oral health in order so we pass on the right microbes to our child. And that doesn't mean wiping out our oral microbes again with 99% killers. We need to promote healthy microbes in our mouth. Then pass those on with our baby. Have oral care products that have ingredients for every part of the mouth, not just enamel like fluoride or hydroxyapatite or something natural. No, we need, I'll give you a few examples. Nanohydroxyapatite is think about it as liquid enamel. Your enamel and your dentin, which is the next layer, is made out of almost entirely of this calcium phosphate crystal called hydroxyapatite. Many years ago, in the 1970s, we created micro version of it. In the 1980s, nano version of it. It's been around for decades. It's been tested in many countries. It's approved in many countries. It's perfectly safe for everyone from pregnancy to babies to adults to everything. Or at Supermouth, we have a patented version of it. We've added vitamin D and K2 to it. Why? Because calcium phosphate, which is hydroxyapatite, requires vitamin D and K2 for its absorption into teeth and bones. Here we're talking about teeth, obviously. But 90% of the U.S. population is deficient in both vitamin D because we live indoors and vitamin K2 because of the changes in the diet since the Industrial Revolution. So we have a patent. Anyways, it's called hydroxamine, or we call it liquid enamel. We have that ingredient at the right concentration, the right formulation, everything. In every toothpaste we have, in every mouthwash we have, in every floss we have it without fluoride as an option. We have it with fluoride with its option. We have it as a prescription fluoride. We have a pregnancy formulation, orthodontic formulation. Why? Because one size doesn't fit all when it comes to healthcare or when it comes to oral care. It would be like if I just give everybody the same non-fluoride or the same fluoride toothpaste, it's as if your doctor gives every patient they see an aspirin, for every problem they have. It just doesn't make any sense what we're doing in dentistry, and we just keep repeating it.
And we know that in life in general. We know in life in general that all humans don't react the same to a vitamin, to a mineral, to anything. But we assume in dentistry, well, it's good enough for me. It's good enough for you.
Exactly. I think it's just because our dental professionals have never been educated. We fall for the marketing gimmicks, right? Whoever can have a cuter ad or funner ad or I don't know, it's louder or scares you more. This is too toxic.
I think Supermouth wins the cuteness now. I mean,
you're so sweet.
My gosh, I was just blown away at the dental conference of just the child line. I thought, oh my gosh, my daughter missed out because she's
very sweet. Honestly, Tosha,
I was like, anyone that ever in my life gets pregnant is getting a whole pack because they're all so dang cute.
Thank you. We really try. We think however we do one thing is how we do everything, right? So from design to packaging to taste, just like you said, for kids, we've created not only just the products, but we've created a whole world of superheroes and villains. They're called Supermouth Squad. We make movies, augmented reality, comic books, music. Our movie won the best picture in a major film festival. You guys can check it out. It's called The Rise of Supermouth. So you go to theriseofsupermouth.com. You can watch it. Make sure you grab some popcorn, some floss, of course, and some tissue because you're going to laugh and cry and floss before bedtime. That's our tagline. But yeah, I mean, we really, and even for adults, we try to design beautiful products with great technologies because we want people love their oral care products so they actually use them, like you said, because if you love them, you look forward to it versus, oh, here we go. I have to brush tonight, right? I have to floss. Who's going to do that? No, nobody.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off about it. It's just the products and the cuteness and the ads.
No,
and I mean,
always
right now
cut me up when you want to talk good about our products. Please, I insist.
I mean, right now, I think most consumers. I mean, we go down the aisle of Walgreens, and all the products, they look a little bit different, but most of them, if you just flip over the box, they're really not much different. I mean, there might be a different marketing ad on them, but from the ingredient standpoint, it's not that much different. And a lot of patients that I used to have, they would have allergies to toothpaste and allergies to different products in there. And it was very difficult to know, what is this irritant? Is it something that you're eating? Is it something in some of the products? And it can be very difficult because so many products just in general that we use on and in our bodies have a lot of extra stuff
That's right.
that we don't really need. And it's just gets really confusing.
It is. And I'm going to give your audience a tip because, they may be listening like, well, how do I know this guy is right? I've heard this from like 1,500 different brands over the years. So let me give you a third party unbiased source that you can check your ingredients from everything from your shampoo to your toothpaste and see if they're truly safe, at least, or like the allergies that you talked about, or are they toxic? Are they going to lead to cancer potentially? So there's an organization called Environmental Working Group, or called EWG. This is the most respected, unbiased, professional organization in the world that tests different ingredients, and then based on research and articles like that, they write down a toxicity rating from 1 to 10. Okay, so like for example, fluoride is a 2, just so you want to know. So 1 being the safest, 10 being the most toxic. So fluoride is a 2. It's not 1, but it's not like 10. You know what is 10? Some of the most popular, I can't tell, I'm not going to name the brand on your podcast, but literally some of the most popular flosses on the market that you can easily glide between your teeth, they use a chemical called PTFE, which is a forever chemical. If you guys don't know what forever chemical is, please Google forever chemicals. The reason they're called forever chemicals, they stay in your body and in the environment forever. And they are very dangerous. It's a 10 out of 10. And it's on a floss that's like right now, some of the most popular flosses on the market. And guess what tissue in your mouth is the most permeable tissue that allows these ingredients to get in your body? The sulcus. Now, let me explain what the sulcus is. The sulcus is the part that you put the floss in between your teeth and your gums. That part of the gum that touches it, it's called the sulcus. It's the thinnest epithelial layer. I don't want to get into details. Just know that this is very permeable. So whatever you have on the floss with this toxic ingredient, according to the EWG, so much more. It's like literally the most toxic thing. This is what happens when you obsess over one ingredient like fluoride. We miss on things. Peppermint oil that companies use to create the illusion of that minty fresh or the burning sensation to make you feel like, oh, maybe this is working. It's a 4 out of 10. It's twice as toxic as fluoride. Not only is also peppermint oil can be dangerous for little kids. It could cause potentially life-threatening problems. It can also decimate your oral microbiome. And on and on and on. I mean, toothpaste coloring. If your toothpaste looks chalky white, many times they use titanium dioxide or these chemicals to make it white because, again, manufacturers have brainwashed us to think over foaming toothpaste or burning mouthwashes or this minty fresh sensation means clean. No, it just means marketing. Yes, a little foam is good. You can get safe, same foaming agents. A little mint is good if you like. Use spearmint, not essential oil, but just the natural minty version of it. And you get that minty fresh without burning and without taking over your taste. So EWG.org is a non-biased source. If you guys actually want to know what's not just natural, but actually safe and effective safe. That's a safety. It's not an effectiveness. So that organization, if you want to know effectiveness, just look at the whole mouth. At our website, supermouth.com, we have, dozens and dozens of articles on almost every topic in the learning section of our website that they can refer to. As you know, if any dental professionals are listening, we also have supermouthpro.com, which is basically all of our professional CEs and webinars to the dental professionals. So one of our goals in our company is not just to sell products, because there are 1,500 companies that are doing that. Ours, yes, is better, it's more comprehensive, it's customized, it's for the whole mouth. But we also try to educate. We teach more dental professionals about oral care science than any other institution. That includes dental schools, hygiene schools, and other oral care product companies.
I love that. Well, for dental professionals, Dr. Haas, as you know, we need continuing education.
Exactly.
And the right continuing education can make all the difference. And
exactly.
I have always found that with my patients, if I can articulate and explain to them why I want them to use a specific product and what need it's going to fill, they're more likely to use it versus saying like, oh, it tastes good. Well,
if you understand the why, the what becomes easy. I'll give you a quick example. Most people brush their teeth after breakfast, right? That sounds logical, but it's actually backwards, as you know. You're not supposed to brush your teeth for up to an hour because just about every time you eat or drink, your mouth becomes highly acidic. And if you brush your teeth during that vulnerable time, we rub the acid into the softened enamel, you can damage it. Brushing before breakfast does the opposite. It protects the enamel, buffers it against the acid that's about to come. And also, cleans out the microbes that are built up overnight. Of course, my son, who is now 13, he's perfect. I can't say perfect because you may listen to this. It's nearly perfect. Let's put it that way. So one time when he was a kid, he asked me, what do we brush before breakfast? And I explained to him, even to a 5-year-old, I explained, how this works, the timing and the acid. And he got it even when he was 5. So to your point, exactly, if we can understand the why to people, then the what becomes easy. Prevention is not about trying harder, is about thinking differently.
Yes. Well, and sometimes it's the smallest changes that we do every single day that gives us the biggest bang for your buck,
Exactly.
so to speak.
That's
I
right.
mean, so many people feel, when I was a young hygienist, I remember so many patients that suffered terribly from dental disease. And these were not people that were just lazy. I had one patient that always stands out in my mind. And she was a diabetic, and she had very, very terrible periodontal disease in her early 50s. And she spent 20 minutes 3 times a day cleaning her mouth. And when I would clean her, when she would come in for her cleanings with her hygienist, I almost didn't even know what to do. Her mouth was so clean.
Amazing.
And back then, 20 years ago, I didn't know how to help her. I didn't know where to. I just thought, my gosh, you're clean, but you're clearly not healthy because your gums are bleeding so much.
That's right.
And now I know, oh my gosh, she had gut dysbiosis. She had oral dysbiosis. There were all these pieces that I didn't know where to guide her. And so I'm so glad now that there's so much information out there,
right.
that your website provides a ton of information. Consumers, hey, get on there and
Yeah, exactly. No, we have a goal to simultaneously educate the public, like through media, that's what we're like, tons of interviews with national media, and also on the professionals. That's what we teach at almost all the major dental conferences. We have CE courses, webinars. We teach at dental schools, at hygiene schools, because we need to build an army of educated people to address the number one disease in the world. We can't do it by ourselves. And this is a big task. But when, I'll have one more thing to say, if you don't mind, to your, if they're dental professionals that are listening, because I think sometimes dental professionals, this is not really, of course, majority of them, but there's some people that may think in the back of their minds, like, why do we even want to prevent cavities? Isn't that like our business? It comes from it. So I want to kind of address that, maybe if you don't mind, because listen, patients are smart. They're are online. They're on AI platforms. They're asking the right question. They now know more about oral care products, many of them, than we do. So we can put our head in the sand or in the snow, wherever we live, and pretend that this is not happening. So why not go get ahead of it? We become educated. So we become a trusted source. So we recommend high quality oral care products to our patients. And then because when they see better outcomes, that builds the trust. And then that leads to better loyalty from our patients, more referrals, better acceptance of treatment, and ultimately the practice growth. So it's a win-win-win. Everybody is going to win if we improve oral health. According to CDC, this is how our country can win, by the way. According to CDC, nearly $1 trillion can be saved every year, nearly $1 trillion a year if we fix oral disease, because not only that's cost of oral diseases, loss of productivity, and all these other diseases or conditions that are linked, that it's a risk factor, oral disease are a risk factor for them. That's a crazy amount. That's all of our taxes that we're paying, right? So we will save money. We will have healthier mouths. We will be more successful. Our kids will have more confidence. They have a better dating life. Like, they'll make more money. By the way, all of these are scientifically proven to be linked to oral health. And so let's give the next generation opportunity to do something that my generation and everything that came before me didn't have that opportunity.
I love that so much. All right, I'm going to end with one question.
Please.
So if somebody's out there listening and they know that they have cavities or their gums are bleeding and they're thinking, I want to take control today, what would your top recommendation be?
Okay, so first of all, you need to educate yourself. So I really encourage you. This is not a pitch for my company, but on supermouth.com, we have like 60 different articles on everything you want to learn. And so you want to know why your teeth are sensitive, we discuss it. You want to know about fluoride, we go both sides of it. Because again, as I said, I'm not pro or anti any specific ingredients. I look at the advantages and disadvantages. When the advantages, the advantages are more than the disadvantage, then maybe you should use that ingredient. When it's not, then you shouldn't use it. So that's one way. You should educate yourself. Obviously, read books, articles. You can ask ChatGPT or like any of the AI platforms. Like when I'm in the car, I drive an hour. I have my new best friend. I'm literally, when my son are in the car, there's not a question that he asks me if I don't know it. I used to just kind of guess it, but now I'm like, well, let's find out. And then, so educate yourself, because there's nothing else in the world that I know I'll come across bias because I'm a dentist, but literally I'm not aware of anything else that's this simple to fix and will give you so much in your life. It'll make you healthier. It'll make you happier and make you more successful. It'll make you make more money. It'll make you reduce chronic diseases, reduce inflammation, hopefully live longer, have better relationship with your kids. It's a crazy thing when we have better oral health. It impacts every part of our life. And then as parents, we pass on those habits to our children and also those microbes to our children. So literally we can make sure that our next generation have a better life than we have. So I encourage it with education. And then, of course, the oral care products, we really try not to be a marketing gimmicky company. We have over 200 products customized based on age. And I kind of mentioned to you, we have about 300 patents. The reason I share this with you is because our company is about research and development. We've spent years researching from formulations to products. 300 patents is a crazy number. 99% of companies don't have even one because they just repackage the same fluoride or the same hydroxyapatite toothpaste and then sell it under their brand. We're not about that. We don't want to be brand number 1501. We wanted to really revolutionize oral care by doing it right. And I hope that your listeners also find the same thing when they check us out.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Haas, we have to do this again sometime because
it'll be my pleasure.
My head's exploding with all kinds of more questions
in a good way.
to ask and chat with you about. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Mouthy Matters. If this episode helped, I'd love it if you shared it with a friend or left me a quick review. It really helps the show grow. And if you want a simple next step, download my 6-minute guide. It's in the show notes. We'll see you next time.